Gosh, all right. Welcome back. What an introduction. Okay. We are recording our part 2 of our Seeds to Healing episode with Kenya, finishing up our conversation on grief and hopefully getting some more insight on her experiences and her personal notes on grief. Welcome back, Kenya.
Hi, guys.
Fran.
Hey, friend. No, don't sound right. Hi, sister.
I'm so glad I get to talk to you again. It's always a fun time.
Yeah, it is. Yes, y'all. I have no hair. Yes. Okay. We chopped it off. We changed the color, and we're bald. We're bald and dolls. Okay.
It's cute. It's real cute.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm here for it. So, one of the things, like we said, in the last episode is we had to cut it because of some technical difficulties. So we heard it, but you guys didn't get to hear it. So Kenya, can you remind us of something maybe through your grief transition that you would have wished you could have done differently?
I wish I would have been more upfront and honest about it, of communicating where I was really at and not just kind of brushing it off and saying, I'm okay, we're hanging in there. When in reality, I'm doing terrible. I hate it here. I don't want to be here. But I would say that would be the one thing that I wish I did differently, was be more upfront with people about how I was doing.
So was it like you were like playing face, like telling people you were good when you weren't good, or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I was, y'all know the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
That's what that was. It's all, smiles and giggles. But once that mask came off when I went home, it's just pretty much like kind of just sitting in my room, not really interacting, and quiet, pretty much is what it was. I didn't really go out much at all. I still don't, but anyways.
That's different.
But in reality, like I didn't have time for people anymore, to be honest. And I just was okay with being by myself.
Did you think that it was like, if we were to talk about the mental health side of it, would you say that it was maybe like a mild depression that you went through?
For sure. Because I lost 2 family members.
Yeah.
And, you didn't think it's okay with, I don't know. It's just, I shouldn't say it's okay, but it feels different when you're kind of like, when it's like grandma, grandpa, type thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's literally close to home, which is like your dad and sister. Mm-hmm. So that was a completely different field for me. And once I came to the realization that I was going through just a little bit of depression, it wasn't like severe to where I was just like, I want to kill myself or anything. I really honestly, thank God, I have never gotten to that point. Mm-hmm. But it was just a little bit of a mild depression, and it took a lot of my mental, because we didn't have, like, we just still kind of don't have Tombstone right now. Mm-hmm. So still can't really like see pictures or kind of like go to the gravesite. I was scared to go to the gravesite, and I felt like if I would have went to the gravesite, it would have been more definite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had didn't really want to address the permanent solution per se. Mm-hmm. That he was officially, gone.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyways.
Crazy. Wow. Oh man. For those of you that don't know Kenya, laughing is okay.
Sorry guys.
Okay.
Sorry.
That is how I believe her papa really helped her. And I would say the family,
Yeah.
really like jokesters for sure, for those of you that are listening that don't know her.
Yeah.
Jokesters for sure. So laughing.
Sorry. Yeah. This is how we rolled.
Yeah.
My sister's funeral, we did nothing but make jokes, and people looked at us crazy and was like, well, there's nothing else we really can do, but yeah. So sorry. Sorry guys, but yeah.
Like we're serious for real.
I am serious, but yeah.
Okay.
One of the things that is important to understand or to help other people who may be in the same boat as you were, Kenya, in the aspect of like not being ready to go to the gravesite or see the tombstone, or even whatever that may look like for those people, whether they have ashes or spreading them, whatever it looks like, because of the definite. And sometimes I think it's okay to remind ourselves that it's okay to wait to a point till you think you can handle it to go. It's always an encouragement to like try, right? People are like, oh, well, you should go, it's going to be helpful. And I don't like saying that to people because I'm not in your brain. So I can think, well, if it was me, it'd be helpful for me, but we're not in people's brains. So just like, okay, we'll try. And if you pull up to the road and you feel like it's too much, then you turn around for today and you try again next week or next month or whatever that looks like. So I think the biggest thing when we've talked about this, which I love, is there's so many different areas that people can connect with you in your story, and the aspect of like the transition, or not like calling it a process, or feeling more like you have to put on a mask in order to keep going, like having these areas. But yet they're also different in the aspect of like the way we deal with something that's so concrete and so like life-changing in the moment can really be effective of not only our future, but how we react to people and all of those things.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I think one question that kind of comes to mind, hearing how you were processing through everything, like when did it finally hit that you needed or wanted to do things differently? Because you started coming around more, started coming back into yourself. Like when did things start to shift a little bit?
The moment I graduated from cosmetology school, honestly, because during that entire process, he was in the hospital, so I was like leaving school to make sure he had clothes, food, just change of clothes, stuff like that. Make sure car insurance was paid, registration, did all the other stuff. But I would say when he passed, it was that realization that things were going to be different. Because I had to move out the same week that I had to graduate. Mm-hmm. I had to move out the same week of the funeral, or I should say a month after graduation. But it was, I would say, March, because it took a minute, I will say, but March is when I say I kind of had to get back in the swing of things, because reality kind of sets in of you need money, you got to find a job. And I really didn't have any of that yet. And so what helped me was, as soon as I graduated, the funeral was done, I went away for 2 weeks. I should have made it a month, but so I should have did. But no, I went away for 2 weeks and I did absolutely nothing. So if I wanted to cry, I could sit and cry. If I want to be by myself, I could be by myself. But it wasn't all the time. Like, I still have my sister and, my close friends. But it was right in those 2 weeks of like, okay, we gotta go back to reality. Don't know what's gonna happen, but we're gonna make the best of it, pretty much. And yeah. And then when I got the job that I wanted, just fell in my lap, and I knew like it was a plan, like something like Dad. I knew Dad would be very proud of, and be like, this, it was perfect for you. There is nothing else that you could be doing or see yourself doing, So he was very realistic, but he was very supportive. So getting back to after that, I would say it took me 2 weeks. I'm not saying, it just works easier for me like that, or, not saying it like, you need like a timeline per se.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, I know for me personally, that's just kind of like the time that I needed to kind of get into the swing of things. And then from there on, just be honest and where I was at. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would be your advice for people who are in a similar situation or dealing with this grief transition?
It's okay to be mad at people's stories when it's not the same as yours. It's okay because COVID and the pandemic changed a lot of things. So like, it's okay to get mad to hearing people say, I got to spend my last few moments, with so-and-so. Whereas other people, they never got to, have that chance. So I would say it's okay to be upset that you didn't get that experience, or you're hearing that from other people. But then you should also be okay with telling people like, I understand, you got to be there physically, but you can't just say like that's just always the solution to everything. Like, you get to spend those special moments with that person that you're missing, and it's like, but in reality, some people can't. So like, it should be okay for you to tell that person like, I got quite emotional hearing you say that because I didn't get to have that experience. Mm-hmm. And so this is some of the things that I have to go through, which is totally different from what you did, but like, this is from like an outside perspective per se. Like, you kind of have to have grace for everybody else, and you can't just think the cliche lines are the best solution for everything, because it's not. Yeah.
And what would be your advice to like a fellow Christian dealing with grief, dealing with depression, like things that you experience that we don't really talk about, I feel like, in the church?
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
I said in the first video, I was like, don't just throw scriptures on it.
Yeah.
And quote the cliche lines, we're going to see them again. Yes, we know that we're going to see them again. We know that there is a heaven and a hell. Like, we know that. But that does not negate what we feel as humans. And it's okay to tell Christians, that's nice for you. Mm-hmm. That's nice. But at this point in time, that's not where I'm at. Mm-hmm. I know the scripture, but that's not where I'm at. Like, to just throw a Band-Aid over it and just be okay with it. I'm not at that point yet. I'm still going through the stages of grief. I was angry. A bunch of people, like, you're angry at God because, you're praying, you're on your knees type say, per se, and you're just kind of like, Lord, if they pull through this, I'll do this. Or if they pull through this, like, it's going to get better from here. And it didn't. So, like, yeah, I was for sure angry at God because I was like, Dad said he didn't want to go out like that, and yet he went out like that. So I was just like, you could have sent him back. It's like, no, they need you. It's not your time yet. You could have just, kicked him right out of heaven and be like, boom. But then, also having like kind of like that relationship with my dad, I know he would want to see that. And I know he saw his best friend and my sister. So it was like, if you must, sir, if you must. But yeah, don't be afraid, even if you are a Christian. We're humans, we're not robots. We can't just click, I'm not a robot or I'm not a computer. It don't work like that. Mm-hmm. Like, we have to go through that because our cliche line, our story could be a testimony, for someone else. But it's so true because it's like, people go through things, even though it feel like it's the same thing, it's at different times. Yeah. And so it's gaining new perspective of how you can reach people instead of doing things the same kind of way. Mm. So don't just text people and be like, I thought of the scripture and I was thinking of you. No, call me, please. Say, I'm going to come take you out. Okay, great. I guess I'll get dressed. Stuff like that. Like, the quality time type things. If you're going to say you're going to be there for someone, like, show up. Mm-hmm. show up. And that way, when someone that you know or someone that you kind of know is going through the same thing, you know, ways that you can show up for them like someone showed up for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
It's good.
Good. Do you have any thoughts, anything to add there? Or maybe hearing Kenya's stories, like things that maybe as outsiders or dealing with our own different types of grief that could help somebody, either helping a friend or going through it as well.
I think Kenya kind of touched on this in the first video, but I think it's very important when it comes to grief is like feeling all the feels,
Mhm.
like allow yourself to feel. And you kind of spoke to it with the whole mask situation, like don't mask what you're feeling, be honest with yourself and be honest with others to your comfortability. Like you don't have to be an open book.
Right. I didn't say that.
You don't gotta spill your guts out.
No,
but at least be like, no, I'm not okay today. And understand that it's okay to feel those feelings. You don't got to be mad at yourself. You don't got to be feel like you got to be strong and not feel them or not show them. But I think that's one huge thing with grief is allowing yourself to go through the process.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a lot of the times where we get stuck is feeling like we can't go through the process.
Yeah.
And even more so as Christians, we feel like almost, I would say, people feel condemned for feeling depressed or angry or anxious over the process.
Yeah. So. And let me say this too. I know I said it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to stay angry.
Yeah.
It's not okay to stay depressed. It's not okay to stay, you know, if you're having like those suicidal thoughts, like it's not okay to stay there, but it's okay to say like, this is where I'm at and I need help, or I need something to help me get through this.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend, her mom had told me that her brother had passed away. He had committed suicide, and it was, I want to say about the same time as my sister passed, so like maybe like 4 years ago. And just now she's gotten over like being angry. And so it's just kind of like, take the time, but don't stay there, because that's dangerous within itself.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to be angry at God, but don't stay angry, because then you're gonna be doing stupid stuff and you just gonna have a whole life kind of regret that you wish you didn't, wish shoulda, coulda, and all of that stuff. But yeah, don't stay. But yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I agree. I really like that. I think the thing that kept coming up in my brain, especially during the second part, which I find myself saying it a lot in these podcasts, so I'm sorry, but I'm going to sound like a broken record today. And it's just that feelings aren't facts, but feelings are real. And I think that's the thing, is that everybody can cling on to one or the other, that either feelings are facts and this is just how it is, or feelings aren't facts and so we just have to cut it off. And the truth is both, is that feelings aren't facts, but feelings are very real. And in the moment, they feel like facts. So how do we address that? Knowing, obviously, you're going to see them again, but it doesn't feel like that in the moment. You're sad in the moment. You're angry in the moment. You're not seeing them right now like you wish. And just the understanding that that feeling is real. And just because it may not be solid fact or solid truth doesn't negate the fact that that's how you feel. And in your moment, that's very real. And so I think it's just important to know that. Yeah,
I definitely agree. I definitely think that feelings are definitely great indicators, but they're not, like Kenny said, they're not where you want to stay. You want to actively like work through those feelings, and because that's what's ultimately going to help you process through things like grief, is allowing yourself to feel the feelings and kind of going from there. Feelings are honestly constantly changing, and the more we feel them, work through them, identify them, we're able to move through it. So it's more helpful.
And if you have therapist kind of friends that are in that department, ask them for recommendations. Don't spill on your friends just because they have a degree, you know, and they have like that licensing for that, because they're not your therapist. Okay, don't like, I feel like that's just kind of it can get, lines can get like lost and crossed, because you feel like now your friends have an obligation to you because they have like that type of like license, you know, and that type of like area. And it's no, don't do that. Don't do that. Because honestly, if you were like in their shoes and they was in your shoes, you wouldn't want them just come calling you every day, like 3 o'clock in the morning, talking about I need help, you know, and you're the person I can only come and talk to and think of. And it's like, if you really don't have a relationship with them, don't be calling up them like that. Like, no, you know, just kind of like ask for like recommendations. Don't just immediately go to your friends because you know that they're in that department.
That part.
Yeah.
We need a sound effect.
Yeah. Because it's like sometimes people can lose friends over stuff like this.
Yeah.
And then there's a way of getting back to that. And so like cherish those relationships. You should cherish those relationships and not just word vomit on people because you know that they're in that department.
Yeah.
That just came to my mind. But yeah.
That's great. I fully back that.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. Can you got anything else?
No.
Well, thanks, friend, for coming back on here and ending it with us.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. No, but on a serious note, I mean, I know I learned a lot just from hearing your story. And just getting your perspective, I think it's very insightful, and it puts a different perspective on the process of grief, like how it's a process and you have to work through it. And I think just on the flip side of like Christianity, like you really were real about it. And you weren't fake about it. You didn't do the whole I'm blessed and highly favored. You said, no, I'm blessed, but like this is not favoring.
Actually, I'm broke.
Right.
I'm broke, I'm traumatized, and I'm going through depression.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
That's where I am. But to God be the glory? No. Sorry. I'm not at that point yet. I'm not at that point. And I feel like Christians, the Christian friends, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't just throw a band-aid in a scripture and think like it's okay, they receive it and then leave. It does not work like that. It does not work like that.
Yeah.
Like, not saying like hold our hand and walk, you know, like a baby, walk it through with us, but like walk it through with us. You don't have to be there like 24/7. That's not what I'm saying. You can still be there, but like you should also be able to help them have the strength and the ability to end up doing it on their own without them depending on you.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah. It's just because, it's been a pet peeve. It's been a pet peeve. And it's just like, you can't do that. Especially in this day and like this time that we're in now, in this generation. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's my 2 cents.
Well, we thank you. I appreciate you coming on. I know
Thanks,
he appreciates
guys.
you coming on.
Yes.
I thank you for being so transparent and vulnerable. I know this is not an easy conversation.
No.
But hey, you got through it.
I didn't cry.
But tears are okay, guys. It's okay. But of course, I love you. I love your dad. I love your family. And I'm so appreciative that you just took the time to even talk about it and share your story, because I know I took from it. So thank you.
Of course.
Best sister. Alrighty, thank you guys all for listening. If you have more questions or want more resources, you can always reach out to us on our Instagram. But other than that, we will catch you on the next episode.
Bye.